Last week we began last week's Halaqa series talking about the importance of the topic, right? The importance of the topic. And what I want to discuss, inshallah, this week is as a continuation of the introduction. Why are we studying having good manners? What's the point? What is the ultimate objective? Is it for marriage? Is it for acceptance in the community? Why are we studying having good manners? What's the point? Become a better Muslim? Adurani? Yes. Yes. So ultimately, what we do, and this is for everything, any intention that we have should always be, right? This is like level one basics, is for the ultimate pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, right? We need to, anything that we do should ultimately be for seeking the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. Seeking the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the number one point objective in anything that we do, right? As Muslims, right? What Allah Azza wa Jal wants from us, we strive to do that so we can seek His pleasure, right? It's not so that we can gain acceptance. It's not so that we can gain a marriage proposal. It's not so that we can get a higher salary, right? It's ultimately for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. The pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. But not at the expense of people. We learn good manners, right? And part of learning good manners is as a side thing that we gain is and how to deal with difficult people, right? If everyone was nice, if everyone was, in good conduct, then we wouldn't need to learn about having good manners, right? But what good manners and the whole point of studying this topic is so that we, not only do we gain the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, but we also learn how to deal with difficult people, right? How to deal with difficult people, because not everyone, right, is nice. Not everyone is going to be approving of what you do. Not everyone is going to be on your side. Not everyone's going to think that what you're doing is right, right? So what we take from this is a beautiful saying from Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, when he says, الناس غاية لا تدرك وليس لي إلى السلامة من سبيل فعليك بما ينفعك فالزم. فعليك بما ينفعك فالزم. People are unattainable. They are an unattainable goal. And there is no way for me to achieve safety. So focus on what benefits you. Right? Focus on what benefits you. So this is one of the things of Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, that it is impossible to gain everyone's approval. It's impossible to gain everyone's approval. So it's better to focus on that which benefits you and focus on yourself, right? Focus on yourself. And to not seek the people's approval, right? This is a concept that we need to understand when learning good manners, that we're not doing this so that we can seek other people's approval, right? We shouldn't do that, because otherwise we bend the rules of Allah Azza wa Jal, that we start to cross the lines of what Allah Azza wa Jal has written for us or drawn for us. If we seek to the approval of the people, we will go beyond what Allah has decreed for us so that we can seek the approval of the people. And this is not what we should be doing, right? This, again, the ultimate objective is for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jalla. يقول Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, Ibn Qayyim, he says very famously, رضا الناس لا مقدور ولا مأمور ولا مأثور. That pleasing the people is not possible, it is not asked of any of you, and nor was it reported about anyone among you, nor was it reported about the prophets or any of the Salaf before us. Right? So this idea of pleasing the people was never under our job description, right? Our idea is not to gain knowledge or to benefit ourselves for the pleasure of people. This is something outside of our objective, right? Our ultimate objective is to please Allah, and by that, we please the people. If we seek to please the people, we will seek the displeasure of Allah, and therefore, or thereby, displeasing the people will ultimately be displeased with us. Right? The people will ultimately be displeased with us. So there are people out there, as we said, not everyone's going to approve of what you're doing. Not everyone's going to like what you're doing. Not everyone's going to think that what you're doing is right or correct or upon the haqq or upon the sunnah, right? And this was a man came to Al-Hasan al-Basri, and he asked him, and he told him actually, إن قوم يجالسونك ليجدوا بذلك إلى الوقيعة فيك سبيلا, that there are people sitting around you, students, people who sit and listen to you, to listen to something that you say that is wrong, so that they can hold it against you, right? So to find a fault into what you're saying. So the whole point or purpose in them sitting to listen to you is so that they can find something wrong that you say and blow it up, right? We see this all across social media, right? All across social media, we see the people, famous people, we watch what they say, and we find something. Oh, he quoted a daif hadith, he quoted something wrong, and blow it up. He's no longer credible, canceled, right? Cancel culture, right? We see this even nowadays. But his reply is very beautiful. He says, فإن الناس لم يرضوا عن خالقهم ورازقهم فكيف يرضون عن مخلوق مثلهم. That the people don't even approve of God who created them and provides for them. How are they going to approve of a fellow creature like them? Right? So this is the concept that Imam Al-Hasan al-Basri had, right? That if people don't approve of Allah, what makes you think that they'll approve of you? Right? This is the general people, right? The general people. So no matter what, whether you're dealing with Muslim, non-Muslim, right? Some people are not going to approve of everything that you do, and that's okay. And we need to understand this before we build upon having good manners, that not everyone is going to approve or be happy with what you're doing. Or part of good dealing with other people, part of having good manners and dealing with other people is to lower your expectations of the people, right? Lower your expectation that people will be pleased or happy with what you're saying or with what you do, right? There's some things that I say that maybe you guys don't like. There's something that I do that maybe you guys don't think is correct. There's some way that maybe the way I dress that you guys don't 100% approve, right? Different ways, different things, right? But the idea, the concept is, right? Focus on what benefits you and focus on that and continue with that. And thereby, inshallah, by pleasing Allah, you will, inshallah, get the people's approval. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من التمس رضا الله بسخط الناس كفاه الله مؤنة الناس ومن التمس رضا الناس بسخط الله وكله الله إلى الناس. Aisha reported that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said in an authentic hadith reported by Albani, whoever seeks the pleasure of Allah, this is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying, she's reporting that the Prophet ﷺ is saying, whoever seeks the pleasure of Allah by the displeasure of people, Allah will suffice him against the people. And whoever seeks the pleasure of people by the displeasure of Allah, Allah will leave him to patronage of the people, to the patronage of the people. That if you seek to please Allah, regardless of what the people think, even though people might go against you, right? That ultimately, right? Ultimately, what we are told in the hadith, that Allah will suffice him and protect him against the people. That is whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. But if you seek to please the people by the displeasure of Allah, Allah will leave him and Allah will not care in where you are destroyed, right? Where Allah will people and He will not be able to help him. Allah will not help him. So Allah is all capable of everything, but He chooses not to help that person who seeks to please the people over the disobeying of Allah, or by disobeying Allah. So if you consistently try to please Allah, you will win the hearts of the people. And this is the idea or concept that we want to focus on today, is that if you please Allah, focus on what you have to do. Don't try to show off. Don't try to displease Allah. Don't try to cross the lines to please the people. Don't shake another woman's hand so that you can get the approval of her boss, or maybe she is the boss, right? We talked about this in the khutbah, right? Don't disobey Allah by trying to please the people, and you'll find that the people will gravitate towards you and they will like you, right? And you will see this sometimes in family settings, right? That maybe you may be more religiously inclined, right? Maybe you decide to go zabiha and the rest of your family is not zabiha, right? And they criticize you and admonish you or try to correct you in that regard, but you try to truly hold firm, or you're trying to do more in pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will suffice you against the people, right? But the idea is that you can't just say that whatever I'm doing is right? The whole idea is not to say, I'm pleasing Allah, right? I'm pleasing Allah, away with everybody else, away what everyone else thinks. This is not what we're trying to understand here. And this is where humility comes in and humbleness comes in. And inshallah, we'll talk about that idea next class and how humility comes into accepting and hearing with an open mind if someone tries to correct you, and having the character and the mannerisms to implement and hear and listen and be open-minded to someone else correcting you, right? This is a beautiful concept that inshallah we'll talk about next week. Again, the idea today is to not try. Why are we studying manners? To ultimately please Allah Azza wa Jal, not the people. Not the people. And we do not disobey Allah to please the people, right? And we study mannerisms so that we seek Allah's pleasure. And a side thing from it, a side thing that we gain is that we know how to deal with difficult people. We know how to deal with difficult people. Someone comes and tries to correct you, right? How do you deal with that? Someone comes and tries to admonish you, how do you deal with that? Inshallah, we'll talk about that next week. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to increase us in akhlaq and adab. May Allah Azza wa Jal increase us in mannerisms. ربنا أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه منه. رب اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. ربنا زدنا علما. ربنا ادخلنا الفردوس الأعلى مع الأبرار. اللهم ادخلنا الفردوس الأعلى مع النبيين والمرسلين. اللهم ادخلنا الفردوس الأعلى مع الأنبياء والصالحين. اللهم قنا عذاب النار فإنها ساءت مستقرا ومقاما. ربنا إنا نسألك رضاك من سخطك ومن معافاتك من عقوبتك وبالفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.